This guy was a household name. He still is a household name. Both here and back in Nigeria. Get me? They call him the big Oga at the top. So, yeah, guys, big warm welcome to former West Brom striker, former Nigeria striker, Peter Odemwingie.
That's you.
Pete, how are you, man?
I'm good, thanks. Always happy to see my people, I'll say.
Yeah.
The first reason why I'm here is when I heard the name Dapo, I say it's Nigerian, right?
Yeah.
That's good enough for me, man.
That's good enough. That's good enough. It's so funny because I was telling Pete that when I first got called up to the Nigeria camp, he was there. And when I met him and I said, "Oh, I remember you from Nigeria camp," he was just like, "I don't remember you." So yeah, that's my story with you.
You had to do something special, like our boys do, for me to remember you. But unfortunately, you grew up in England. You could only do the long ball. That's a bit stereotyping, but I don't do stereotyping. We can talk about it after. Yeah, we'll build on what Leroy has sown. The city is sown here. Yeah, let's have some fun.
Yeah, let's have some fun.
The situation.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. I could do with a bit of that. So where do we start with you? Born in Soviet Union?
Yeah.
I wanted to say Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
That's what it's called, right?
Yeah, the capital city is Tashkent. It's a fantastic city. But you don't know until you go, right? A lot of people are judged, names are judged by preconceived ideas, but it's an amazing country. Rivaldo retired there. Samuel Eto'o nearly played there. The present coach there is Hector Cooper. It's a very football-loving nation.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful city. Scolari, I think, coached in a club there, and he loves the local food more than any other. So, yeah, it's on the topic as well that we've been here. You don't judge people, nations, by a few people that misrepresent them, I'll say, including Bulgarians and Bosnians and everything. Everywhere that things happen, I don't jump easily to conclusions because the positive side to life must be spoken about. Yes, there is racism. There is maybe one race that's seemingly dominating in the world today, in politics and in sports, in everywhere, but it's the same race that brought the Human Rights Act here. So you have to talk about all the good sides, and of course, it's an emotional topic because Leroy speaks from personal experience. Those experiences hurt. But you know, a hurt person, when you just like stay in that state all the time, you're not gonna bring out the good side of you. You know, another message has to be also given, not just talking from your hurt. You know, you have to talk about your good experiences as well. You know what I mean?
Great media answer, everyone.
Media answer. No, it's a true answer.
No, it's definitely.
If you know me by now, you know I don't hold anything back.
No, trust me.
I say it how I see it.
Yeah. Turn up to the wrong clubs and all sorts, but we'll get into that one. But yeah, so how did your big break into like European and international football come? Because you went back to actually play in Nigeria.
What the big break
as in European football? Yeah. No, not turning pro. As in, so from Nigeria, what happened that elevated you to
Europe,
then come to Europe?
Well, I was a beneficiary of what people like Canon Nwankwo and JJ did, you know, because when they created this, like, let's say, the perception of Nigerian players, it's like Brazilian players. Sometimes if you say a Brazilian player is coming for trials, they've already prepared the contract for him. Yeah. Just because he's from Brazil. Yeah. So anyway, I had the feeling that, you know, I was growing up till 17. I was in Moscow in a CSK academy. Then my mom was happy to return back to Nigeria. They were trying to keep me out of the streets because, you know, back home, teenage life is different. If you're misbehaving, there is that thing they're advertising on Instagram called Koboko, you know, yeah? So they felt, you know, I'll be focused. Our culture, our society has a way of, keeping you humble. So we made the move at 17, and not just, it kept me focused on the game more, because, Russia, we like vodka a little bit. So that took me out of that scene. But anyway, I was training with people like Payo Sikedia, Julius Agawa, you know them very well. So Julius was a striker. Payo Sikedia was one of the best dribblers that wingers lived. He played for Ajax. Not everybody know him, but he had a talent to be very special, up to Messi level. So, but those are the guys, when I arrived, I saw, and I started learning from them. So the combination of Russian football, when I arrived, I had a good shot, because I've showed that throughout my career. I can shoot like Olise from far and score. So I could dribble like Payo Sikedia. So that gave me a career. So the plan was to go to Nigeria, pick up a few things from African football, which is, a lot of flair, the skills. So that made me, I think, a good player. And I still thank the parents for making that move when I was just 17,
Okay, so after you've left Nigeria, what was your first European club?
La Louvière in Belgium. Yeah, it was my first club. I went to Anderlecht on trials, and 2 years ago I was laughing again when Vincent Kompany said on BBC Match of the Day, when they were talking about me, he said, he's the only player I've seen that come for a trial, score 5 in the first half in a preseason friendly and didn't still get a contract. So,
how come they didn't
I
give you
was
one?
on trials with Anderlecht, but I signed in La Louvière, the smaller team, because somebody there saw me and then they advised
How
La
come they
Louvière
didn't
to
give
sign
you a
me.
contract? Did they give any reason
But the
why?
explanation was they had about 5 players similar in that position. So they said he won't be developing here as much. And that's the advice I'll give to players as well. When you're starting first steps in football, it's better to be in a smaller team, being active, than in a big club just for the fact you're in a big place, among big players.
Agreed.
Okay. Does anyone, before I go on to my next point, actually have any questions that they maybe want to ask Peter Odemwingie? Or just going to leave me to just hold the fort down, everybody? Okay.
Well, when you introduced me, first of all, before you said West Brom, Stoke, this and that, you first said who is known for...
What? Showing up at the wrong club?
What? Yeah.
Thing is, I was hoping someone here would raise their hand because they all wanted to talk about it. Okay, so hope you don't mind. You've probably said the story
tell us
100 times. So for those of you who don't know, transfer window, transfer deadline day, where it's all hectic, and you got this transfer happening, that transfer happening. Sky Sports breaking news happens, and Peter Odemwingie is outside QPR's ground, like, speaking about QPR, saying us. Like, I'm just happy that we're here. Harry Redknapp's got a great plan for us, and blah, blah, blah. And then, after the transfer deadline, like, you're still at West Brom. Like, what happened there?
They just love me too much. They didn't want to let me go. The chairman was obsessed. He said, this guy makes me so much money, how can I let him go? But yeah, it's an episode I regret, obviously. But from one side, we had issues within the club, and I needed a change. But anyway, if you talk about the business side, I was 100% convinced the deal will be done. But it's something I need to put in my autobiography, how clubs can hide behind a statement. Just to give you a bit of a hint into the situation, when I returned back, obviously I'm not happy because we did have an agreement. Junior Hoylett, everybody know him. He was supposed to go from QPR to West Brom. It was a last-minute change. Apparently his dad phoned him from Canada and said, don't go there. Yeah. Maybe you heard my chairman doesn't sell players. If you're doing well, especially. But anyway, he pulled out of the deal last minute. He changed his mind over going to West Brom. But everything otherwise was ready. And that obviously they pulled the plug on it because they had no replacement. But I think if they just said it exactly what happened, makes the club not look good because they will have to explain why their agreement with Hoylett broke down. But then they preferred to just put me as the guy who is at fault, or he just did it by his own self. So when I returned, I said, okay, we need to investigate the situation because I had proofs that they didn't want to do that. The PFA came in and said, let's just leave this whole thing till summer. I knew what I had in hands to fight. I had pretty good cards. But then summer came, they still didn't want to, they just didn't want to look about it. And last minute of the transfer deadline day, when I was moving to Cardiff, in the last hour, they put the papers down that I have to pay a fine of what I did in January. Yeah. But I said, but we were supposed to discuss it all summer, because I refused to pay, because I know, like, I was right.
That's like a what?
In my way. So anyway, so
£200,000
that day, I'm giving you guys something new. Nobody heard this. That day, when I moved to Cardiff, 31st of August 20, was it 13? Was it? Yeah. A guy who was known to be a super agent. He's working on my move to Cardiff. 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Was it Omid?
Omid.
Was it? Yeah.
Omid, he learned from Omid. So anyway, he was on Sky Sports Live saying the deal is complete. Both clubs are happy. Peter is happy, passed his medical. But my deal went through the last on the system on that day, but he's already said it. Yeah. So it was in my hand to make a super agent again look bad. Like I did. But anyway, the PF, everybody convinced me to accept some terms which they brought out on the last minute. Yeah. So I said, no, I'm not doing it. So, but anyway, I saved him his reputation. So I was like laughing. I'm like, yes. Now I got them, because this will be now a super agent who is in this situation I was 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. So anyway, this is just to say that sometimes deals can be complicated, and when people that are a bit too difficult about little things are involved, they can just change their mind over a big thing quick, and it just a deal collapsed because of that. I think it's a bit of a emotional thing where they got a bit angry.
Okay, so basically you've taken the fun out of our joke. And you've actually...
Oh, yeah, of course, man, of course. I turned up, it looked like we were forcing the issue a little bit. Yeah.
Do you know what? Still, at QPR, because I used to work there, and every time it's transfer deadline day, whether it was the summer or January, like, everyone always talks about it.
It's a good thing, man.
Like, oh, yeah, do you remember when Peter was like this?
Easily,
like, one of the guys who does security, he's always like, yeah, I kept looking, and like everyone's watching on the screen, and then they look outside and they see your car, and they're like, what's he doing it?
The kit man. The kit man, this year, he released a tweet with my shirt, number 9.
Wow.
I don't know why they didn't put it out then. That was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
If a shirt was ready, it means there was a move nearly done.
That's what I'm saying. It's funny what you're saying about those little things.
Yeah.
And then like even like that's what I'm saying, like at the club, like people, like, no offense, but like proper laugh at it all the time. Do you remember when he was
It's always the butt of a joke. And in fairness, now that you speak about it candidly, obviously it breaks it.
Yeah, but there's a lot to the story. This is not even 10% of it. I could tell you it's...
What was it like then, if you can say, like, obviously it doesn't go through, then you have to go back.
Yeah.
What was the first training session like? Did the boys kill you?
No, everybody won't know this, but okay, if I'm convinced the move is ready, I've already said it in an interview, but you know how it is, the media, they're only interested in a big story that everybody will see and have a good laugh at, because I've said it in a few interviews. The captain was there, like about 8 players, senior players, because not everybody was in the dressing room, somewhere in the gym when we had the seemingly agreement. I go in the dressing room, I say, boys, looks like it's happening. I was happy. I said, next week I'll come back after I score a few goals for QPR against Everton, was it, that week? So I said, I'll come back, I'll take you all to a restaurant, we celebrate, because we had good years together. Yeah. So anyway, coming back wasn't that bad with the players in the dressing room. Of course, there was a joke. They put the QPR shirt for me. Liam Ridgewell, he put the shirt for me, they printed it. You know how football goes for me. So there was a bit of laugh about it, but the boys knew like something went on there that
wasn't right.
They shouldn't be angry about. So, but then they love me. I bring result. I'm an easy guy sometimes. Sometimes I can be not. But yeah, but it wasn't. It was okay with them. The biggest one was the fans. It was the most difficult one, because I didn't even want my wife to come with my newly born kid then. Then she surprises me. She comes, and I'm warming up. It was against Sunderland, and the coach is not putting me on, because I'm like, the best response to this is now. I get 10 minutes, I just go and score goals. And let me see if you're not going to celebrate it. So, so while I'm warming up, they're singing, "There's only one greedy bastard." I'm like, they think money motivated. I'm I'm like, if you guys knew me, you will know me better than that. Because that same January, I had an offer from the Middle East, which was very interesting, but I kept turning them down. So anyway, my wife is there, my little boy is there, and then you have this whole stand singing, "There's only one greedy bastard." That was a tough one to take. But anyway, I always know a lot of things is a matter of time. So I wait for my time. It gives me about 6 minutes only. Of course, I'm angry. So I go out and I nearly score. And the ball just goes near the post. And I was thinking, I would have loved that moment to just score literally and close the chapter. Because football is so, fans are fickle indeed, right? When you score a goal, whatever you did last week, last week, is forgotten. So I was just hoping to close that chapter there. But then I wasn't getting enough game time, so I couldn't do it.
And I was going to touch on that. So how difficult was it for you? Because obviously you're their record goals. Like you got their record amount of goals in the league for them in one season. But you found yourself on the bench after that quite a bit. How was that for you in regards to your relationship with the manager? Because obviously there's only one side that people get to really see. They don't get to see your side. So what did that do for you, or how did it make you feel?
I had too much confidence in my ability. I always knew. I was 31, I think, at the time. But I knew my body was of like 25-year-old. It's the African genes. I know I still... I don't want to go about,
if you take it over,
let's not go into the age part. Anyway, I knew the question was, there was only a matter of a next transfer window where I will be driving to. This time around, probably with agreement. Already everything agreed. So I knew I would bounce back because, I still felt fast and all the qualities were there. So it was disappointing. It was tough being like top scorer and not playing every week. But we were mid-table. So there was nothing to play for.
Nothing to play for.
So that's why they then stuck to the thing that they have to punish me to show an example that player have to just, be humble and take instructions only. But then came summer. Obviously, we had a couple of offers, about 5 teams, but I end up in the weakest one of them because they want to make sure they sell me to the less.
What was your relationship like in training, though? Because obviously that's the game day. What was it like in training with the manager when you're going in every day and you're seeing the manager every day?
After that?
Yeah.
No, it was already just I put in my head this, I'm waiting for summer. So I didn't overthink it. There was a result there. The players were relaxed because we were mid-table and we just won a few games. Actually, the team was doing really bad. His record was 1 win in 24 games after the saga. So when he came to Cardiff, actually, to play against West Brom, so I'm a player of Cardiff. The manager comes with West Brom to Cardiff, and we beat them 1-0, and the next morning he gets sacked with a record 24 games, 1 win.
Yeah.
But God knows they sleep. So yeah.
Do you know how weird it is? Like, because a lot of people, when they hear you speak in interviews, like after matches and everything, you've got the accent isn't the Nigerian one, obviously, but then to hear you just switch it and to know that it's still in him, like it's just so weird. But I love it.
I'm more Nigerian than you.
Of course you are. You are.
I played in Maiduguri. You played in Akure, yeah?
I played in Akure.
I was in Kaduna.
I played in Kano.
Yeah, okay, me too.
Get me?
Yeah.
Relax, man. Relax.
You know how hard it is, yeah?
Traveling 9 hours by coach. But so talking about your moves, there was one move that I wanted to ask you about. I think it was after your first or second season when you scored 15 goals for West Brom. And you were linked with Juventus. And then you came out and said you're happy to stay at West Brom. Do you remember? Yeah. Was that actually a real thing, or did you just say, you know what, they're not really here, but let me just tell everyone I'm happy at West Brom?
You know what? I was planning to play in Premier League, right? So the problem with West Brom came when I wasn't getting much game time. So if I'm playing in Premier League, I score 15 in the year. The second year was 10, but so long as I'm playing every week, that's fine for me. If the manager then starts rotating the squad, I am the top scorer of the team, and you're doing rotation, and I'm out even after a game where I score 2 goals and we win 2-0, I have a problem with that. So, but I didn't say anything to him. I waited for the January window for any offer. So if QPR is a weaker team, where I will play every game in my position, because when he was a Chelsea man, he comes to West Brom and moves the top scorer to the wing. So he takes me, Steve, yeah. Well, okay, he always gives good references about me, though. I don't know why. But he comes, he brings Lukaku on loan, sacrificing me going to the wing, and Shane Long, who is, me and him are the top scorers, Shane Long goes to the bench, I go to the wing, and we're having a lone striker to be developing for another club.
Yeah, crazy.
So I'm, for me, it's sorry guys, you got it wrong here.
Yeah.
Me, I'm out. But I wasn't out. I was still playing. I was still top scorer, 5 goals, and winning games for them. But I'm saying I'm waiting for the next window. So, and I'm used to picking Player of the Month awards every year before that. So I've had 3 in 2 years. So then I'm sitting like, how will I get the 4th one? If I play 1 week, and then the next week, even if I had a man of the match performance, I'm not playing. So I said, that's never happening again. I'm like, no, I need a new club. So that's as simple as that. So when the offers came in January, I want to leave, they're like, no. But anyway, it's just a bit too complicated. I was really loved at the club. The chairman saw value in me that I bring a lot of, points which relates to money to him. So it was about figures. But for me, because I was the first guy to sign the big contract. So this is a problem in the world in general, but Leroy is saying it's true. Because then comes this Nigerian boy, he then gets the first ever big contract in the club. So I changed things in the club, right? I set new records, I win Player of the Month awards, but I came there with a big profile already. So sometimes in the first year, okay, we're going into more details. I was on a very big contract in Lokomotiv Moscow, so I come, I'm the first guy to drive a Bentley there, I'm the guy with the Dolce & Gabbana and everything, but it's a club that just came up from Premier League. But I'm not doing it because I want to show up, but that was just me, my level. I came on the level I was. I came from World Cup. Nobody in that squad has played in the World Cup. So it was already a bit like, the big guy, Oga don't come, Abi. But Oga was doing well, but I'm a humble guy in general, but okay. I mean, Nigeria boy, I like to be flashy sometimes. So I come out, it's the time to shine. But I was young, I was single, But anyway, I get the first biggest contract, and that causes upset in the dressing room. It's not just the rumors that when they say, what's his name? A few players in Tottenham, sports fans. When somebody gets a big contract, the next big player walks in saying, I want the same money, I want the same because I do the same. So problems started from there a little bit. So, but, I was a bit of that shocked me a little bit. So that was one of the reasons I'm like, hey, if you can't just wait for your time, sort your own business. You don't come to me with it, like with anger towards me. Like now in general, I think in the world, because 100 years ago, like black people, they were like still there was slavery in, I think, 50s. Slavery was abolished and all of that. So then, now a black man is on a Rolls Royce with a white driver. So some people find it hard to accept. But it was, you don't want to go too deep. But slavery wasn't a good thing. But it's still the British people. What I'm trying to say is it's still the British people here that fought against that to be abolished. So we can't just say world is racist. No, world is not racist. World is actually great. I'm very optimistic about where the world is today. Yes, shit's going on here and there, but many nations and places are misrepresented. Yes, there is a lot of darkness going on, but in general, I think there's a big step forward. It's a matter of time. Now, LeBron James, people like Jay-Z, they're billionaires, they're this and that. But don't forget, it's still white people that put the contracts on the table for them.
Agreed.
So, and even I was in Russia last year, World Cup. Everybody thought no black guy can go to Russia, this and that. But I tell you, there are lots of people there who love black people, who who embrace diversity and everything. It's a very diverse country. But yes, like in every other society, there is a lot of shit going on there too. So we don't have to be just a bit too negative about the whole situation. Although it hurts, I understand where Leroy is coming from. Totally understand it, but we don't have to spin our story around being victimized always because you are what you feel you are. Yes, I've heard people say this to me, African, black, this and that, but It's something I'm happy about, proud of, you know. It doesn't never hurt me somehow. I don't know how some people, I can get angry about it, but just it goes in one ear, goes in another, because, you know, I don't feel like it's something
I hear
that
you.
should be hiding or something.
Let me ask you a question, Peter. Yeah? So obviously you've played with some of what I would say some top players.
Yeah.
Champions League.
Yeah.
Talk about knocking out Man United.
Or scoring against AC
Are there
Milan.
any City fans here?
No, they won't.
they
City
won't
fans, no.
Yeah,
But the
We've got
question
them
I was
fake
going to ask
United
you is
fans.
obviously you mentioned JJ Okocha, you mentioned Kanu, and you mentioned obviously these guys are big players, big ability and stuff. Who would you say was the best player that you've played with, both national and club level?
Played with?
Yeah, and against actually as well. I'd be interested in that.
Oh, against. I don't want to be showing off, but I'm tired these days. The only debate is about Cristiano and Messi, who are the best. Obviously, I've played against Cristiano with Lille, against United a few times, against Messi in the two World Cups, Olympic game finals. But then you played with players like Seedorf, played against Pirlo, Inzaghi, like Nesta. You have like all these great players, Kaká, for instance. So I just got bored now. People always ask this question. Yeah, I'm a big Cristiano fan, big Messi fan, because both of them, sometimes I watch a video in YouTube, even as a Premier League player. Before the game, I watch Cristiano. Oh, he did that. I'm doing that this way. Then I bang in one with the right foot. Then I watch Messi. I push the ball to the left, boom. I could score with both feet. So both of them, like, as a kid there, I see boys there. We watch, we learn, and we want to imitate them. So that's why I became a play with both legs, because I had one player always like left foot, right foot. But the best that I've played with, I think, is JJ, because he's a type of player where you can just want to watch him. His body language, his facial expressions. There's something about him that you like. He loves the game. Not because he's so good at it, because there's so much enjoyment you see, because he plans to not make someone. You can see it in his face that he knows he's going to do some damage, and you love that, and you just see the confidence that actually he already sees it and he believes he will deliver, and that makes you confident. So you're feeding off how he feels. Wow. So that's one feeling like players like him give you when you're on the pitch. So then sometimes, when you are the one they're looking up to, like when I played for the Olympic team in China? Yeah. I was the only senior player there, and then I'm like, okay, now
you're the big guy.
Turn, I have to be confident, although I was still, it's still Olympic Games. But anyway, JJ was probably the one I played with alongside. Kano, of course, is right up there. Obafemi Martins, those are amazing players. Yakubu, but JJ, I'll give it to. And against, will be a central defender.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of course. Against, for me, what the guys do there, they are good players. But who the best for me is someone like Nesta, central defender. I used to be growing up watching Serie A, and AC Milan was my team. So Nesta, tough guy to play. Nemanja Vidic, Rio Ferdinand up there. So
Rio.
Yeah. So a few good central defenders, obviously. Robert Huth.
Oh, yeah?
As well, yeah. Very tough one.
Well, at Chelsea,
you know what? Because when they won the league, people just, it's not a miracle. There are a lot of players, like JJ, for instance. He was supposed to play in Barcelona or Real Madrid with his talent and win those trophies that all those guys are winning. Yeah. Even myself, I feel like that was a bit of my anger towards the end of my career. Like, I had the talent to go that step, because I was linked with AC Milan, Juventus, Liverpool, and top teams. At my time, AS Roma came, actually. They tried to get me a Belgian passport to make sure I have the European status to sign for them. There was Werder Bremen when Klose was leaving to Bayern Munich. They wanted to replace me by him. There was a lot of interest from the top there, but it never happened for one or the other reason. Is it the wrong agent, or is it the no passport? Is it one thing or the other? Yeah. So now somehow I've seen the difference between a big career and a good career. So I'm now working with a bit of an agency, because I want to see a boy where I'm like, this advice, if I had it at the time, I'll have a different career. Yeah. So anyways, those things like slowed me down a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But before we wrap this one up.
Let's wrap it. I talk too much.
No, it's good. It's not every day we get
too many stories.
No, it's not every day we get
I'll come for another one next time.
Yeah. You not heard that. So when I ask him to come on the podcast, I don't want to hear no.
No.
Good.
No.
Good. But yeah, what's next for you now? Because obviously you've retired, so where are you at now in regards to football? Would you ever coach or manage?
Yeah, but I'm not in a hurry to do that. And I want to follow the steps because having a name in football in Nigeria can give you a job.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure I'm qualified before I use the name. So yeah, coaching in 5-6 years. But now my target is it's a law degree that I can then specialize in sports law.
Wow.
That should help my players
be a
on
top
deadline
lawyer.
day, yeah. So yeah, but I didn't complete my A levels. But at 38 now, every week I go to a class and I sit with 18-year-olds,
Seriously?
and they have these problems that I'm like, oh my God, was that how I was at 18? They're all fighting with each other over nothing. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh God, don't drag me into this. But anyway, yeah, I didn't complete A levels, so I have to have a foundation year. So I'm going there. After this year, I can go to university, study law, and then specialize in sports law, be a good agent,
top
be
agent.
a good lawyer, advise players, and yeah, I'll just take that route. And I became a professional golfer 2 weeks ago. I passed a playing ability test. So whoever interested, I will soon have an Insta page, Odemwingie Golf now. Because I want to keep a status of a sportsman because I think it keeps you in a good path in life. You know, if not sports, is health. Health is everything because physical health transforms to mental health. And yeah, whatever sport you're doing, life is tough. And these days it's becoming tougher and tougher mentally. You see people. That's why it was a bit annoying that sometimes people talk about it's about money. When we also Danny Rose, Peter Crouch, they come out publicly and say they've gone through depression during their playing time. But then you look at it, you say, how can a Premier League player with so much money in his account go through depression, you know? So, yeah, there's way more to life. So sports is very important to stay healthy.
100%. 100%.
Golf lessons, okay?
Okay, but yeah, Peter, thank you very much for joining us. I hope he's been okay for everyone.
Thank you.